All right, so Gruns has just exited for $1.2 billion. And now a lot of people actually know as well that their founder was talking about their ROAS on a podcast. And he said they're literally scaling at a zero point 0.3 ROAS, like literally 0.3x ROAS, meaning that they put $1 into advertising and they make 30 cents out, and they were literally scaling at this, right? How the hell were they doing that? Well, it's pretty obvious that they were obviously making their money on the back end, right? They were making money on the back end so they can afford to take a loss on the front end, but a lot of you guys watching this can't actually afford to do that, right? Maybe you're not a big corporation, so you can't just take a loss on the front end and still survive, and you're obviously not like a funded company. If you're watching this and you are, well done to you guys for raising around, but most of you aren't going to be a funded company and you don't actually have the resources to take losses on the front end like a lot of funded companies do. So how can you actually apply these principles of scale and lower the ROAS you actually need to scale so you can scale faster and outbid all your competitors and literally destroy the competition while not going unprofitable? In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly how to do that. It's actually a lot easier than you think. This video will make it so simple. Like, I promise you, you will walk away from this video actually understanding how to actually use this model of scaling. And it's honestly going to be so simple, right? It's going to blow your mind. And if you don't know me, by the way, my name's Gurnoor. I make these videos to make scaling to 8 figures easy for health and wellness e-commerce brands. And this video is definitely going to help you make 8 figures easy to scale to, right? So there's only two things you need to actually understand. And the first one is that you need to optimize for LTV, and you also need to know your CAC. Your CAC should not be the thing that you actually try to optimize. Your LTV should be the thing you optimize, and this should determine your CAC. So basically what that means is there's two types of people, right, in the e-commerce space. There's people who want to be profitable on day one, right? We've got people who want to be profitable on day one, and then there's people who are willing to take losses until month 12. This is like spectrum of people who are literally polarizing themselves to be profitable on the front end or be profitable 12 months later. Now, the thing with this is that when you polarize yourself to one of these sort of ends of the spectrum, you kind of snooker yourself, because here you have to optimize for like a very low ROAS a very high ROAS and a very low CAC. So your competitors are more likely to outbid you and it's really hard to scale. You need like a 3 to 4x ROAS to scale, which is honestly just unrealistic to maintain. And on month 12 over here, the people who stick till month 12, a lot of them actually fail because they reach like month 6 and they don't have money to actually live and they have to shut down the business because they go unprofitable, right? The key to actually scaling is finding yourself into this sort of category over here, the category of people who don't polarize themselves to either end of the spectrum and they actually fit in between somewhere, which is day 90. Day 90 is so important because it's honestly very sustainable to keep someone on a subscription program, for example, till day 90. And a lot of you can actually afford to break even on the front end, break even month 2, break even month 3, break even month 2 and actually make your profits on month 3. That is sort of the golden point where you can actually afford to wait and then make money when it comes to day 90, right? So how do you actually do this? Well, the first thing you need to understand is you need to set a target for day 90. A lot of you guys watching this, if you're not like a funded company or like corporation at the start, like I said, you probably want to be optimizing for a 20% profit when you actually get to day 90. So how do you actually optimize for that, right? You obviously want to set your target, and maybe for you it's 10% because you're willing to take a bit of a loss. Maybe for you it's 15%. A lot of big brands actually break even when it comes to day 90, but obviously if you're trying to make some money and obviously survive, then you're not able to do that just yet. So 20% is usually the golden standard. You can optimize for more. I honestly think that 20% is where the sort of golden point actually lies when you're optimizing. So what this actually means for you is that let's pretend you are running a subscription program, because that's a very easy example to give, right? You've obviously got day 1 over here. You've got month 1 when it comes to 30 days later. You've got month 2 when it comes to 60 days later, and then you've got month 3 when it comes to 90 days later. Let's say your AOV, right? Your AOV is actually $100, and just for the example, let's say you have a subscription program which is also $100 a month and your take rate is pretty high. That's one of the keys to actually making this sort of model work. Your take rate on subscriptions has to be high, and you have to have a killer offer to actually get people to subscribe. But let's say you do, and let's say month 1 your retention numbers are 80%. All right, that's pretty good numbers. You should get $80 out of that $100 cohort, right? Then month 2, let's say you're at 60%, and month 3 you're at 50%. So these are pretty decent numbers, right? Month 2 you actually end up making $60, and month 3 you actually end up making $50 out of that initial cohort. I'm hoping this actually makes sense. Just think about it for a second if it doesn't, and it'll start to make sense. Let's say your COGS are 30%, which is $30, and let's say your operational expenses, which is the OPEX, is 10%, so that's $10, right? What this ends up coming down to is your AOV is $100 and your COGS over here are $10 and $30, which is $40. That means you have around $60 left to spend on your CAC if you want to break even on the front end. Now, with the scaling model, when you actually have retention numbers like these, and that's why it's so important to actually have a good product and also have good retention numbers, which really just come from a good product and also maybe some emails, some SMS reminders, all that stuff. What ends up happening over here is that you might pay $60 for CAC over here. So you actually make $0 when it comes to day one, but month 1, your COGS are still 30%. So that would be $24, right, of 80. And then your OPEX is still 10%, which is $8 over here. This is 32. That means you actually end up making $48 profit because you're not paying the CAC over here anymore, right? There's zero CAC because the customers are already there. The same thing applies when it comes to $60 over here. There's $18 COGS, and then there's $6 operational expenses, which leaves us with 24, and then that is around $36 if I'm not wrong. You end up making $36 profit over here. And then when it comes to month 3, it's the exact same thing, $15 COGS, and then $5 here, 20, you end up making $30. So the thing with this, what I'm trying to actually get to, is that you're optimizing right now maybe for a CAC of 60, but the reality is that you end up making a lot more money over here. Just for example's sake, right? You end up making around $290 here, so let's just round that off to $300, and your profits are 48 plus 36 plus 30. I'm not going to do the maths, but let's just pretend like it is $100, right? If you're trying to optimize for 20% margins on day 90, 20% of 300 is actually $60. So what you can actually do is minus that 60 from here, and you'll end up with 40, right? So you can actually afford to acquire customers at $100. So you've basically almost doubled your CAC limit because you just have good retention numbers and you also have a good offer. That is a secret to actually scaling with this model, that you actually use your profits from later to actually optimize for a higher CAC, and then you can actually outbid your competitors and scale way faster. And let's say, just for example's sake, again, right, keeping it very simple, $60 CAC was a 1x ROAS for you, right? I'm not actually going to do the numbers, but let's just pretend like it was. Now, what that means is you've actually almost halved your required CAC. So half your required ROAS to actually scale. So it's actually probably 0.6 or 0.7 now, because you have almost doubled your where is it? I'm trying to search for the word, your margin for the CAC, right? You've basically, how much CAC you can tolerate, basically, right? And what that means is you almost halved the required ROAS to scale. So this is how you can literally half your ROAS to scale, and then scaling just becomes a lot easier, because if your required ROAS to scale was like fucking 3 or something, now it's only 1.5. If it was maybe 1.5, now it's only 0.75. So that is how you can actually determine your CAC when it comes to scaling over here with the 90-day sort of model. And I know I'm like tripping over my words and stuff over here, but I really do hope this actually makes sense, where you can use these numbers over here to then raise your CAC and then start actually outbidding your competitors. And that is how you actually scale at such a low ROAS, because this is what Gruns actually does, right? The only difference is that they probably actually wait till 12 months to actually make a real profit, whereas we're just doing it 90 days. So your CAC could honestly be way higher than this, which is what Gruns and all these big brands actually do. But to actually make a bit of a profit as well, all you have to do is just be calculating your numbers on a 90-day spectrum. And yeah, I mean, it's really that easy. So that's that. If you are like a health and wellness e-commerce brand and you're doing like 6 figures a month, and you're struggling to scale to those 7-figure months, like $1 million a month, and you feel like you've basically tried everything, and yeah, I mean, nothing's really working for you, right? You can't actually scale to the next level. Well, you should probably click the first link in the description, Gonna be honest with you, full transparency, it is designed to sell you something. It's not some course, it's not some training, it's not some webinar or some magic, magic thing to solve all your problems, but it's just a video of me explaining how me and my team could potentially actually help you solve that problem of struggling to scale. Now, don't feel obligated to click that link. I don't really care if you do or not. I'm just trying to make these videos to provide value to you guys. But if you do have that problem of struggling to scale, there is a solution. We've found the solution, and you can go watch a quick video on how we do it. I think it's like a couple minutes long. But that's that. If you did like this video, then there's a button for that. You can press it and let YouTube know to show you more videos like these. If you have any questions or suggestions for me, just comment them down below. I reply to every single comment. I look at every single comment, and chances are we're never going to see each other again. So if you did find this video helpful, you may want to watch any of my future videos. Click the subscribe button, and yeah, I mean, it's absolutely free. It doesn't cost you anything. So yeah, man, I'll create more videos for you guys like this, and I really do hope this made sense and it was helpful.